Welcome to Devotions from Israel, a 5-minute word of encouragement. Today's devotion comes from Isaiah chapter 35. Now, most people think that Israel is primarily one big desert. Well, it's not the case. Israel is a well-developed country now, even though back in the days of Mark Twain, he described it as a desolate land all the way through the land from the south to the north. However, today it's a land that blossoms, if you will. And I'm using the encouraging words of Isaiah 35 as this prophet in the 8th century, this prophet to Judah, Isaiah, mentions how the desert would bloom, but he also mentions other regions of the land. Now, certainly there is still the Judean Desert and the Biblical Negev that are certainly more arid than other regions of the land of Israel. For instance, in the north, it gets a lot of rain. It's green. It's well cultivated, if you will. And yet there are dry and weary lands of the Bible. I'm quoting from Psalm 63, such as the Judean Desert. However, Isaiah, who spent most of his time in Jerusalem and yet wandered to the east into the desert, wrote this, and I think these are words that capture our heart as he envisioned the land blossoming and coming to life. This is what Isaiah wrote in chapter 35. The desert and the parched land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom. Like the crocus, it will burst into bloom. It will rejoice greatly and shout for joy. The glory of Lebanon will be given to it, the splendor of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord, the splendor of our God. Strengthen the feeble hands, steady the knees that give way. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong, do not fear. Your God will come. He will come with vengeance, with divine retribution. He will come to save you. Then will the eyes of the blind be open, and the and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then will the lame leap like a deer, and the mute tongue shout for joy. Water will gush forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert. The burning sand will become a pool, the thirsty ground bubbling springs, and the haunts of where jackals once lay, grass and reeds and papyrus will grow. And a highway will be there, and it will be called the way of holiness. It will be for those who walk in that way. So the desert, the Judean Desert, a dry and desolate place, and yet perhaps in a spiritual sense, our lives are like a desert at times. We're dry and wearied and worn out, and yet it's God who will make us bloom, who brings refreshment to our lives. When we are dry and discouraged, He brings water to our souls and redeems and refreshes us to life everlasting. So in ways I think that we can relate to in a spiritual level, if you will, of understanding our walk of faith. When Isaiah says the desert and the parched land will be glad and the wilderness will rejoice and blossom. Well, allow God's grace and goodness to allow you to blossom today. Perhaps you are in a dry place in your walk of faith. Well, allow God's grace to touch you, to restore you, to redeem you, and bring you joy. And like the parched land coming to life, may He breathe His Spirit of life in you and bring you encouragement today. So walk with Him in faith. Trust in Him as Isaiah did. And count your blessings that you can find in Him, for God does indeed care for you. Be encouraged until next time. Shalom.